I'm not coming back. I've met someone better, and I've already moved your things into storage. My name is Leonard Kessler. I'm 54 years old, sitting alone in the kitchen of our Des Moines condo, staring at my phone at 11:42 p.m. on a Thursday night. My wife, Dana, was supposed to be on the fourth day of a girls' trip to Palm Springs. Instead, she sent me that message, along with a screenshot of a bank transfer showing $118,000 moved from our joint savings account into her personal account. I placed my phone on the counter and calmly finished my coffee. 15 years of marriage had just ended in 2 sentences and a screenshot. If I'm being honest, the signs had been there for months. Weekend trips that stretched longer than they used to. New clothes she never bothered wearing around me. Phone calls that ended the moment I walked into the room. I noticed all of it. Noticing discrepancies is what I do for a living. I'm a forensic accountant, but I stayed quiet. Maybe that was my first mistake. Or maybe my first mistake was marrying someone who believed my work was nothing more than boring spreadsheets and numbers. I opened my laptop and logged into a private email account. One Dana had never known existed. 3 notifications waited for me from my bank's security system. Someone had tried to reset passwords on financial accounts Dana had never even seen before. She was being thorough. I had to give her credit for that. I picked up my phone and typed 2 words back. Good luck. Then I called my brother Jason. Remember that contingency plan we talked about 5 years ago? I asked when he answered. A pause. Yeah, I remember, he said cautiously. Why? It's time. You sure? Yes, I said calmly. She just made her move. I ended the call and looked up at the wedding photo still hanging on the wall. It was the only picture in the entire condo that still showed both of us together. I should have noticed that sooner. I met Dana Bowman at a University of Iowa alumni event. I was 38 at the time, freshly divorced from a short and forgettable first marriage, and completely focused on building my forensic accounting practice. Dana was 34. She was energetic, charming, and ambitious, but she had absolutely no interest in what I did for a living. Whenever I tried to explain a case I was working on, she'd wave me off with a laugh. I don't need to understand the details, she'd say, as long as you make enough for us to live well. We got married after a year of dating. I helped her open her first yoga studio, funding the entire venture with my savings. When she wanted a bigger house in a better neighborhood, I agreed. When she wanted luxury cars, designer wardrobes, and expensive vacations, I signed the checks. My father warned me once. We were repairing the deck behind his house, passing tools back and forth in the quiet afternoon air. He paused with a hammer in his hand and looked at me. Son, he said carefully, I notice your wife spent a lot of your money. I laughed it off. He continued, just make sure she values what it takes for you to earn it. At the time, I dismissed his concern, but the comment stayed with me. 6 years into our marriage, I quietly began restructuring my finances. Nothing illegal, just cautious. I created 2 LLCs, established asset protection trusts, diversified investments into cryptocurrency, opened offshore accounts for international clients that also allowed personal diversification. Dana knew about our joint checking and savings accounts. That was it. Meanwhile, she became increasingly involved in the fitness influencer world. Her Instagram following grew into the thousands. Soon she started traveling with her wellness community. At first it was weekends. Then it became full weeks. You wouldn't enjoy it, she'd tell me. It's just yoga talk and juice cleanses. Last Christmas, she forgot my birthday entirely. The next day, when I mentioned it gently, she rushed out and bought me an expensive watch. I've just been so busy with the studio expansion, she explained. I accepted the watch. But later that night, I finalized the legal paperwork for my contingency plan. Deep down, I knew something was wrong. I just didn't want to see the full picture. The morning after her message, I woke up early and made coffee like I always did. Habits are hard to break, even when your life has just been dismantled. I opened my financial management system. It was software originally built for my firm, but customized for personal asset monitoring. With a few keystrokes, I activated the contingency protocol Jason, and I had designed years earlier. Step 1. Freeze all joint bank accounts and credit cards. Step 2. Trigger a fraud alert on the $118,000 transfer. My banking contacts push the alert through immediately. Step 3. Send documentation to my attorney with instructions to file for divorce that same day. Then I called my mother. Dana left me, I said simply. She took the money and moved my belongings into storage. My mother was quiet for several seconds. I'm sorry, Leonard, she said finally, but I can't say I'm surprised. What are you going to do? What I prepared to do years ago. I replied, protect what's mine. An hour later, my phone lit up with Dana's name. I declined the call. 10 more calls followed. Then a text appeared. What the hell did you do? The money's gone and my cards don't work. I didn't respond. Instead, I drove to the storage facility she had listed in her message. Using the code she sent, I opened the unit and retrieved 2 boxes containing some clothes and my laptop. Everything else was missing. Family photographs, books, memories from my father, gone. That was the moment something inside me hardened. This was no longer about money. It was about 15 years of my life being erased like a mistake. I stopped at a coffee shop and opened my laptop. Through investigator databases accessible to licensed forensic accountants, I searched for Trey Harmon. The fitness influencer Dana had been tagging in her posts for months. The someone better. The results confirmed my suspicion. His gym business was drowning in debt. 3 maxed-out credit cards. An equipment lease he could barely afford. And 2 months earlier, Dana had co-signed a car loan with him. I closed my laptop. For the first time since her message, I felt something unexpected. Clarity. I wasn't angry. I was focused. Monday morning, I walked into my office like nothing had happened. My assistant Valerie looked surprised. Leonard, I thought you'd take time off, she said. Dana called 3 times this morning. Did she? I replied calmly. She sounded upset. Said there was a misunderstanding with your accounts. If she calls again, I said, tell her to contact my attorney. By noon, she escalated. The receptionist buzzed my office. Your wife is here, and she's very insistent. I walked into the lobby. Dana stood there in perfectly coordinated yoga clothes with her designer sunglasses pushed back on her head. She smiled the way she always had when she wanted something. Leonard, she said loudly, there's been a huge misunderstanding with the bank. All our accounts are frozen. Not a misunderstanding, I said quietly. You transferred money without authorization. The bank flagged it as fraud. Her smile faltered. It was our joint account. I'm your wife. You're my soon-to-be ex-wife who emptied our savings while announcing you'd moved out and found someone else. That's textbook financial misconduct. Her voice dropped to a hiss. You cannot do this to me. I've already put deposits down on a new place. I've made commitments to Trey Harmon. Yes, I replied calmly. I know about those commitments. Her face turned pale. You're investigating me? No, I said. I'm protecting myself. I'll fight this, she snapped. I deserve half of everything. I looked at her steadily. Half of what's in those accounts? Sure. But you seem to think that's all there is. She blinked. What does that mean? You'll find out during discovery. And I walked back to my office. That afternoon, an email arrived from Dana's new attorney, demanding full financial disclosure and threatening to expose irregularities in my accounting practice. An amateur threat. I forwarded it to my lawyer with one line, proceed as planned. By evening, my phone was flooded with messages from mutual friends accusing me of being vindictive. None of them asked where Dana had been all week. None asked about the money she took. I ignored them all. Instead, I went to the gym, my quiet community center, not Dana's studio or Trey's flashy facility, and lifted weights until my arms shook. The trap was closing, just not around me. 3 days later, my attorney called. We found something interesting, she said. Dana had been siphoning money from our joint account for over a year. Small transfers at first, then larger ones. Almost $80,000 total. Most of it went directly into a business account belonging to Harmon Fitness, LLC. Financial infidelity, planned betrayal, and now documented proof. Later that night, I received a message from an unknown number. You need to back off. Dana deserves better than you. Trey Harmon. Getting involved personally. That was a mistake. The next morning, I drove to my brother Jason's house. Jason works in digital security. Together, we've solved complex financial investigations for years. I need everything you can find on Harmon Fitness, LLC. I told him. 3 hours later, we had it. Trey wasn't just struggling. He was drowning. His gym expansion had been financed through risky loans and increasingly through Dana's money. But then Jason found something worse. A $175,000 equipment loan, co-signed by Dana, using our marital assets as collateral, without my knowledge, meaning legally, I was liable. I stared at the screen. She has no idea what she's done, I said quietly. And neither does he. The next day, I visited Harmon Fitness. The place looked like a social media showroom. Bright lights, motivational slogans, and Trey's face printed across promotional banners. Trey approached confidently. "You must be Leonard," he said with a polished smile. "Dana's told me about you." "I'm sure she has," I said. I handed him a folder. Inside were copies of every financial document tying him to Dana. Loans, credit cards, leases, all approved using my marital assets as security. He flipped through the pages. "These are legitimate business agreements," he insisted. "Maybe," I replied, "but the banks approved them based on my financial backing. And now that backing is gone." His face went pale. "What do you want?" "Nothing. I just thought you deserved to know. The banks will be calling those loans due very soon." Before leaving, I added one more thing. When Dana moved out, she took some personal items of mine. Family photos, my father's watch, things money can't replace. The next day, those items arrived by courier. No note, just a box. Soon after, my attorney confirmed emergency asset freeze. Dana attempted to access the accounts 17 times in one day. Then she called me. "The bank is repossessing Trey's equipment," she shouted. "You're ruining him." "I'm not doing anything," I replied calmly. "You used our marriage to secure his loans without my consent. That's fraud." Weeks later, we sat in mediation. Dana looked exhausted. Her attorney reviewed the fraud investigation results and went silent. The bank had concluded she forged my signature on multiple loan documents. Criminal charges were pending. Dana stared at me in disbelief. "You'd really let this happen?" "I didn't start the investigation," I said. "The bank did." My attorney placed the settlement agreement on the table. Dana could keep her yoga studio, her car, her personal property. No alimony. But she would assume all debt she created, and Trey's failing business would be his own problem. She signed the papers. Silently. As we left, she grabbed my arm. "I never thought you'd fight back," she said. "You always went along with everything." "That was my choice," I replied, "just like this was yours." A month later, I moved into a small craftsman house near downtown Des Moines. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. Dana moved to Colorado to start over. Trey relocated to Miami. Neither of them talked about what happened. People rarely advertise their failures. One evening, my brother Jason helped me install new kitchen cabinets. "You could have taken her for everything," he said. "What would be the point?" I replied, "She's no longer my problem." Later that night, I sat on the porch with a glass of bourbon, listening to the quiet neighborhood. For 15 years, I had allowed someone else to define my life. But not anymore. For the first time in years, I felt completely free. The next morning, I packed my truck and headed north toward Minnesota. No schedule, no expectations, just the open road, and no debts left to settle.